it's hard. It's a hard habit to break because your mind is like literally stuck in this pattern of like anxiety, fear, what's going to happen, outcomes, playing the scenes in your head, writing, all
not
of these
trusting
things.
yourself, like not trusting yourself in the decisions that you make. Hello, hello.
Hello, shalom, Shabbat.
Isn't that Shabbat Shalom?
Whatever. I shouldn't say whatever. I
Aren't you
shouldn't
married
mess it
to
up.
us?
Shouldn't mess that one up. Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Not trying to culturally appropriate anything in my show, so.
Isn't your husband Jewish?
Well, he converted for marriage. I mean, he would know because, he had his first marriage. He had to convert to Judaism, but he's back to Catholic because we're godparents now. The Catholic Church said he could come back. We're godparents.
Accepted him back.
They certainly did.
I don't think they'd accept me back.
I feel like if they would accept him, they would accept you. We were at my godson's baptism, and Charlie, and they give you this little water bottle to put
Holy water.
Yeah,
yes.
To like take home. It's like a squirty bottle. So the godparents have to fill it up. So I put the bottle in with my hand, and I looked at the priest, and I'm like, phew, it's not smoking. Like, I was trying to make a joke, and he was like, it's holy water.
He wasn't. He didn't
He
appreciate
did not
it.
think it was funny, and I thought it was hilarious. I was like, phew, dodged a bullet there.
He did not appreciate it. I would have appreciated it.
I mean, I feel like everyone should appreciate it because it's funny. Yeah. It was a funny joke.
It was funny.
It wasn't inappropriate timing either because it wasn't in front of the
like
whole congregation. It was like a small little baptism.
I like it.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope you all had a wonderful holiday, Thanksgiving, and that you survived.
Yes, survived family and implemented some boundaries maybe.
Yeah, I really do hope that everybody was able to, for real.
Yeah.
Because it's not easy, and when you get thrown into the situation once you're there, a lot of times what you thought was going to happen is like not
because
how it goes.
People rudely don't follow the script that you had perfectly planned out in your head.
Of course. And then wrecks all of the, the scenes.
Yeah, like you weren't supposed to say that. It's not what I had practiced in my head.
Anyways, today we're talking about overthinking and indecisiveness.
Yes, two things that
which actually I feel like are two very large topics, but they go hand in hand with one another, so we condensed.
Yes.
So what do you think?
What do I think about overthinking?
Overthinking.
I think that I overthink everything. Mm-hmm. I feel like I am the queen of overthinking.
The queen?
The queen.
Like the owner of
I
overthinking?
hold that title. Oh, yeah.
It's like the definition of you.
Yes. Wouldn't you agree? You know how much I overthink.
You overthink a lot. I think a lot of us overthink, and I think especially when you're in a spiral, it gets to be that ruminating, like looping overthinking, because there's different types of overthinking. There's two types, actually. There's worrying about the future overthinking, and then there's like catastrophizing the past. So I don't know which category I fall into because I feel like I do both daily.
I feel like most people do.
Yeah, it's hard to not. When you are an overthinker, you have historically worked on not being an overthinker. It's hard. It's a hard habit to break because your mind is like literally stuck in this pattern of like anxiety, fear, what's going to happen, outcomes, playing the scenes in your head, writing, all
not
of these
trusting
things.
yourself, like not trusting yourself in the decisions that you make.
Yeah.
I feel like is a big part of it.
Well, and dwelling on the problem instead of focusing on the solution is why overthinking exists. Because when you're focused on a solution, you don't overthink. You are focused on the solution. You're not dwelling in the problem and creating more problems from the one problem that is the originator of all the problems.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Your mind is what created the problem in the first place, so you can't solve it in that same space.
Wait, say that again.
I said your mind is what created the problem in the first place, so you can't solve it if you're staying in that same space.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
Do you following?
Yeah, I thought you said something totally different, so I'm glad that I had to restate that.
No, I'm curious what you thought I said.
First of all, the thing that people that get pissed off that are overthinkers, and is what going off of what you just said, is like you're not going to develop any new insight when you're in the middle of an overthinking process. Like there's nothing new, no new information is coming into your psyche in that moment.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
No.
And part of that is because you want to control things. So anything new or like idea shifting is not going to happen because when you're controlling, even if it's a negative, like you're controlling a bad outcome, like you're still in control of it and your mind still thinks it's like controlling the scenario or whatever.
Well, yeah, and it's the certainty.
Yeah, of the outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's funny that people like don't realize how much they overthink things. And so because of the tendency for women to be twice as likely to overthink as men, I wanted to go over this 10 signs you're an overthinker with you. And we're going to check it off the list. Check. So 10 signs you're an overthinker. I raise your hand if I relive embarrassing moments in my head repeatedly.
I actually don't know if I do that.
Well, you stay in your house all the time. How can you have embarrassing moments if you don't interact with anybody?
It's very valid. Well, I can say I don't do that, so.
Agoraphobic. Just going to agoraphobic myself into my apartment with my cats.
Listen, that's a nice place to be. I like it.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's that one TikTok. We just watched it this morning when it was like why did you say that? Like,
after
trying
social,
being with adults.
You're
like,
so awkward.
Like, why are you so dumb? Like, literally every day when I come in, I leave the grocery store after talking to the cashier, and if I don't say it, my teenager will be like, why did you say that? So
oh my God, I cannot believe I just said that. Yeah.
I have trouble sleeping because it feels like my brain won't shut off.
Literally me every single night of my entire life. Mm-hmm. It's not fun. You literally want to like rip your brain out of your head.
Yeah. All the time.
Yeah.
I'm the same. So I say, yeah to 2. You're yeah to 2 if you actually interacted with people. 3, I ask myself a lot of what if questions.
To a degree, I do, yes.
I spend a lot of time thinking about the hidden meaning in things people say or events that happen.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Even over reading text messages and trying to pick up on the tone in text messages.
I feel like text messages have taken overthinking to a whole fucking new level. Whole new level in text messages.
Yes, everyone's trying to like decipher what the tone of the message is or whatever, and then you just get stuck in the overthinking, and then you assume something that 10 times likely not actually the case.
No, and I'm a grown-ass adult who still flips out when someone's like, can we not text this? Can we talk about this? And I'm like, no, we're talking about it in a text right now. Right now.
Well, yeah, because then that just creates anxiety, buildup of like, what's this conversation?
But even though I know, like, I'm not going to get the context, I'm not going to hear the voice or the, like, I'm sarcastic, obviously. You can see me ripping one out every once in a while. But, like, I mean, I have, like, quick one-liners all the time that are funny, I think. Most people find them funny. But you don't pick up on that in a text. So I've had people be like, I'm sorry, what did you mean by that? And I'm like, no, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Yes. Unless they, like, really know you, then they can.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Because
I mean, except my husband will be like, wait, what? And I'm like, come on, Jeff. Come on.
He just doesn't have the same sense of humor.
Like, can we please discuss this in person? No, we may not. No, I'm coming down the basement to talk to you to your office. It's me knocking on the door. So, okay, yes, yes to both of those. I rehash conversations I've had with people in my mind and think about all the things I wish I had or hadn't said.
Yes.
Yeah, same.
I do.
Constantly relive my mistakes.
To a degree. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say that's high on my overthinking list. it used to be more, but not so much anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know.
When someone says or acts in a way I don't like, I keep replaying it in my mind. Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'm not aware of what's going on around me because I'm dwelling on things that have happened in the past or worrying about things that might happen in the future. I don't think like in an actual like not presently. I'm not overthinking where I don't know what's going on around me, but I have gotten lost in like thinking in my house, like at night, like all of a sudden I'll be like, oh shit, where did that hour go? Like in my own head, talking to myself.
Full on dialogue.
Because I can hear myself in my head.
Yes, same.
I spend a lot of time worrying about things I have no control over.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Go ahead and check that one.
I can't get my mind off my worries. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So,
I feel like those are pretty valid.
Yeah, I think 10 things, those that we checked them. I mean, they fit, right? I don't think they're perfectly written. I just found this and thought it would be interesting to bring into the episode.
Yeah, no, I think it was good.
I don't think they're perfectly overwritten, but I will say that I think a lot of women who are not as crazy as Anna or myself do get caught up more in analysis paralysis as opposed to overthinking with anxiety. Because before we started recording, I said, do you think there's a difference between like anxious overthinking and like regular overthinking? And turns out there is. Mm-hmm. But I do think a lot more air quoting normal, because what the fuck is normal? But like I do think there's a difference between analysis paralysis, which a lot of women get caught up in, particularly with their jobs and executing to-do lists and like those types of things. Mm-hmm. I think women struggle with that constantly. So, whereas we overthink things when you have ADHD or anxiety or depression, the things that you overthink tend to be more awfulized or negative, bad experience based.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, overthinking, there's only one solution I have ever found for myself to stop overthinking. Have you found anything that works?
Telling myself to shut the fuck up. Can't say it always works, though.
Yeah. But really, like, what do you do when you want to stop overthinking?
I usually have to shift whatever I'm doing. Like, if I'm sitting there, say I'm sitting there working or whatever, and I start overthinking something, like, get up and go do something else for a minute.
And that stops it?
Sometimes.
Or does it follow you into the other room?
Depending on what it is the circumstances surrounding my overthinking, it sometimes does follow me. Mm-hmm. What about you?
Well, the only way that I know how to get out of overthinking for myself is to always just take myself out of myself. So it's an old tactic I learned in 12-step programs. But inside my head is a really dangerous space to be 99% of the time. And having too many self-involved thoughts is a negative space for me to be. So what I do is help someone else or be of service to other people or go out and I hit an AA meeting or I just go meeting someone, go meet up with you, go meet up and do something for someone else that is not centered around me. And that typically snaps me out of it really quick. And that can be too like having gratitude, but like I want to say spending time in gratitude and abundant thoughts like, oh, I'm so grateful where things are today because the problems that I'm ruminating on right now are what I wished for 5 years ago.
Yeah,
like where my life is, like today, all the problems I'm like hyper focusing on, or for instance, we're doing this remodel that I'm hyper fixated on today. Met with my contractor, had Anna here tippity tap and taking notes for me. But when I think about the things that I'm overwhelmed by or that I'm overthinking, it does help for me to say, like, you know what? Fuck. Like, these problems this is the life I wished I had 5 years ago. I'm like literally living how I wanted to be living. Why am I so fucking fixated on the problem or waiting for the bottom to drop out?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, it's just in our nature almost to think, like you said earlier, to fixate on the negative, to find the negative in almost every scenario.
Everyone. No, not everyone. Only people who've been lucky enough to be traumatized by something. Not everybody thinks like that.
Must be nice.
I don't know what I can't even imagine.
I know,
but it is true. I just am stating for the people listening.
Yeah.
Like there are some of you listening that's like, I don't fucking do that. What are they even talking about? But like if you haven't had some form of trauma or toxic relationship scenario, toxic parent, whatever it is, like people who had healthy brains, like they don't overthink. They don't do that.
I just,
Anna,
I would
they
really
don't go to the negative. They don't do it. They literally are like you see those people that are like, come on now, it could be this. And I'm like, why are you talking to me?
You're making it worse.
Why are you
Shut the
talking
fuck
to
up.
me?
So if you are one of those people, please write in and tell us what it is like to feel that way, because I'd really like to know what that's like.
Well, it wasn't until, 2 years ago that they showed that study of people who think and can hear themselves think, which I am one of them.
Oh, yeah.
But there are people who literally, they don't hear their thoughts.
I literally
It's
just had this
fucking craziest.
conversation this morning. Shout out to Ashley.
Craziest
when I found
thing to me.
out that she is one of those people that does not have a constant internal dialogue. And I literally said, what is that like?
I feel
it
like
must be nice.
Like a robot. I'm going here. Like, how do you not hear your thoughts?
I literally cannot. She had a perfect...
I hear my voice.
She said it's like she doesn't have the constant, like, running faucet. And I was like, that, like, putting it that way, like a constant running faucet of thoughts is like...
No, but, like, when she thinks, like, when I think I need to cook dinner, I've got to make this for dinner, I hear my voice.
Yeah.
I hear it in
Ashley,
my head.
I'm going to need you to call in and let us know.
I actually hear my voice talking to myself in my head. And then when I'm doing stuff, I'll be like,
Yeah.
whatever it may be. And
I
I have
literally-
ADHD, so believe me, the thoughts in my head in the internal dialogue can go from some outfit I'm thinking of wearing to somebody dying to some song that I want to listen to, all in a matter of 2 seconds.
I have full-on conversations with myself to the point where sometimes I'm like, I don't know if this is healthy.
I don't think that men have a lot of that. I don't think there's many men that have that.
They're
though.
like a one-track, like they just pay attention
I
to what's
never
right in front
asked
of
Jeff
them.
if I'm going to ask him when he's done working, which we can hear him working. Interesting. Yeah, I don't think men do that though.
I don't think so either.
For the most part, I'm sure there are men who are like us, who are gifted in the minds, neurodivergent and whatnot, that like have that.
Man, I just keep thinking about how nice that would be. Because I just always feel like my
I feel
brain
like I'd be
is
lonely.
so
I'd be
full.
sad with silence in my head. Think about if you were sitting here and literally it was like this.
Like white noise.
Just sitting here and your kids come up and they say, what are you doing? Well, my kids come up and they say, what are you doing? You're like, shh. What? Nothing. Is that what it's like? This person's, Ashley, you're going to have to reach out to us because now I have questions.
We're going to put you on the show.
I have a million questions now.
Yeah. We'll bring her on the show.
Running faucet, I understand. It's like a good
I
good
thought
analogy.
that was such a good
However,
analogy.
when you don't think like we do, is it
Yeah, do you just hear white noise or is it just silence?
even worse? I don't know what would be worse.
I don't know because I really wish that I knew what silence felt like because it's so constant and loud in my head and my head feels like it's so fucking full all the time, which is why I say I feel like my brain is bleeding.
You have to get to the state of silence.
I know, and I even try meditating. I try all the things.
I tell you what, I'm able to go into what's the state? Why am I spacing? Oh my god, it's because I'm not medicated today. Thank you. But I get into theta state so quickly with reflexology. I have a reflexologist that I see locally in our town, and when I'm talking second, like she'll kind of be talking, and they try not to talk to you, right? But like because my way my head works, I start with like, "How's your week? What's going on?" Blah blah blah. Then she gets started, and it's like instantly, okay, we're done, and like an hour. But that's how quick it is. Okay, we're done.
I guess I need to go see her.
Yeah, I mean, theta state is like an incredible. Like if I could bottle that up and carry it with me, it's the most incredible thing.
I think I told you I've never experienced that before, right? We've had this conversation.
I'm used to go to a live meditation at
Red
this
Lotus,
wellness Union downtown, and it was like 50, but the power of being in a meditation class is so different than doing it on your own.
I'm sure.
It's so much more like restorative. And you can get to that state very easily. And it's not sleeping. You're not sleeping. You literally are in the blank space, the theta space, like your body is in the next level.
I am now going to be on the hunt for that.
Mm-hmm. It's incredible.
Because it sounds
real. But I wonder if people, because I feel like time disappears when I get into it. So, like, how do people live with, like, not...
Does time disappear for you?
Yeah.
Ashley, we're asking you.
I mean, overthinking it's a problem here. It's a problem in everyone's lives because it actually can become paralyzing. And not just analysis paralysis, but literally anxiety-inducing, panic attack, crippling, agoraphobia, inability to, like, leave your physical space because you can't stop thinking about things.
Yeah.
And then there's, like, it's not the same as, say, like, self-help or self-reflection, like reflecting on, like, a growth point that you've had or, like, something good that's happened to you, or that's, like, productive thinking and overthinking. Like, if you go into, like, self-reflection, like, a year ago today, like, when you do something that's productive in that way, that's fine. When you can't stop the looping, right? When you cannot get yourself out of the looping.
Yeah, like a hamster wheel.
It's next to impossible for anyone to even snap you out of it. Because here's the thing. If you get in that state, you can be driving with some friends, you can be at work, you can be in a store, you can be amongst people at a party, and you're still in your head overthinking nonstop. You're not even hearing people. That's what that question, I think, meant. Like, are you present? Like, you're not, you can get to a point where you're not even really.
I feel like I, for sure, in the past have been in that space. But, I mean, dissociation for me is, I don't even have to be overthinking to dissociate from.
Right.
But, again, that's trauma.
Yeah.
Got it from my trauma.
Yeah. I mean, I just love these people that read these books and, like, think they're, like, trauma specialists.
What was that one I sent you in?
Yeah. The original poster is an actual trauma specialist, Maston. He's phenomenal.
Well, I sent you the original one.
Shout out to Trish, who took his courses in L.A. and has actually, like, knows him and his wife and stuff. And he's a phenomenal human being. But the person who reposted it...
Incompetent.
Is a major incompetent.
You know.
But that's another topic for another day. I think that when you have something traumatic, you will spend your entire life overthinking and justifying things in order to not ever wind up back in that place again.
Well, yeah, and also questioning yourself. Like, I think that's something that I
don't question myself
all the time. Like, I question myself constantly.
I think outcomes. I think different scenarios, and I think people's motives. I really rarely question my own self.
Oh, that's like the first thing I go to is I question myself.
Maybe we're in different spaces in my so-called healing. Maybe I'm in a different level than your level.
Well, of course.
Maybe your healing is still in a... Well, I don't know that Well, yeah, I guess you can question yourself. I can see that.
Yeah. And then you question, like, depending on obviously the situation, but you question yourself, you question the decision you made or didn't make, like, and it's just like you get stuck in that loop of questioning yourself, and it's such a shitty feeling.
I feel like a lot of times when people get stuck in that shitty place, like, did I make the right decision? Did I not make the right decision? You know what the right decision was, and you probably didn't make it.
Yeah.
Most times. Not simple. I'm not talking simple decisions, people. I'm talking, like, major decisions. Like, you did not make the correct choice if you are still reflecting on, did I make the right decision?
So I would say sometimes, but not all the time.
I think
because I feel like there have been times where, like, when I can separate myself some, like, I know, like, kind of in my gut that it was the right decision, but it's the people-pleasing almost that causes me to question myself and then overthink and ruminate on the decision. Because, again, it's that people-pleasing. And like we were talking about earlier, like, if you had a traumatic background or whatever, you're codependent, like we feel like it's our responsibility to manage other people's emotions.
Well, yeah, codependency, we could have a whole 5 episodes on codependency. But it does stem the other reactions. And a lot of times you have people who overthink to the extent of inability to make decisions, to make choices, to question themselves, typically had a narcissistic mom. That's the scientific study of your mom. You were an extension. You were disposable. You were made to feel you were disposable. So you do all these things to try and not be disposable. Which, what does that look like? It looks like, what's that Pythagorean theorem where you're like trying to figure out, like, if I do this, then this. If I do this, then this. But it's all trying to stay relevant and be accepted and included and loved, not tossed to the curb like a rag doll because your parent is an asshole. I mean, I think a lot of people don't realize the destructiveness that their parents had on them. I actually was watching something, even parents who meant well, by the way. I'm not talking about abusive parents. I'm just saying parents with undiagnosed mental health disorders, parents with, you have a narcissistic parent, and then you've got like the codependent with them, who's the other parent, and nobody's watching out for you because the codependent's so busy dealing with keeping the narcissist happy, and it's like a whole thing. Same thing goes with addiction. The same family dynamic sort of plays out. But I think that people don't really recognize the amount of congestion that parents can cause on your mental outlook on things or how you cope and problem solve.
Well, yeah, I feel like that plays, honestly, the biggest role.
Well, right, but people always say your parents, unless your parent was a fuckwad who beat the shit out of you, right, or like raped you, or horrific experiences. If there's nothing on surface that looks bad, right? And maybe it wasn't bad, but your needs went unmet, right? Like if you had a parent, because people say all the time, like, yeah, they tried the hardest they could. They did the best they could with what they had. Well, true, but that doesn't mean that it didn't leave a lingering impact on the way that I perceive the world to be.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying, and people have narcissistic parents. I had a client who didn't even realize she had a narcissistic parent until her mom had been long passed away. And, she was in her 50s, this woman. And, like, we were reading up on something, and she's like, I think my mom might have been a narcissist. Oh, probably, because you're, like, checking all the boxes.
Yeah.
And then it's funny because narcissism is another buzzword lately because it's a real diagnosis. My husband gets super, because he's, a therapist, whatever. Like, he gets super pissed off about people like throwing narcissists around. Like, he's like, they have no idea. Like, a real there's like it's a real diagnosis, and not many people are really diagnosed with it. You can have characteristic like personality traits that are similar to narcissism, but are not narcissism. Yeah. I don't know. I'm going down a rabbit hole, but like all of that causes overthinking as an adult or even as a child, like trying to prevent the fallout of something horrible happening or hurtful.
Well, yeah, like you said, or like in the beginning, it's that aspect of control.
Yeah, definitely. I used to, I still will have moments, I don't realize it until after the fact, where I'm like, I used to say waiting for the shoe to drop, like waiting for the other shoe to drop. I my whole childhood was like that because my sister was sick and it was like she'd get better, then she'd be sick. She'd get better, then she'd be sick until she died. And then it was like my mom, whatever. Like, so there's all that. And then my first husband, it was like with his mental health issues, like one day we're high. If anyone's seen Silver Linings Playbook, where he's like goes in and lives with his parents with bipolar, like the most accurate depiction of bipolar disorder that I've ever seen, because he like wakes up like, come on, we're going. Like, you have no idea what the fuck is happening. Yeah. And you're like being woken up in the middle of the night. And then the next day you're like the mortal enemy. I mean, it's a really weird, dynamic. And it took me a very long time to untangle myself from that thought process or that
web.
Well, yeah, but the fight or flight mode within that dynamic. And it was even harder because I had a child with him. So then it's like protecting her and the overthinking that goes into protecting, making sure that it doesn't happen to her. It's like this whole...
So layered.
It's so layered and like intermingled. But like it took a long time for me to even be able to pull myself out of like, okay, stop. Like, stop. It's the shoe, the bottom's not going to fall out. Like, you're fine, you're safe, like reminding myself. But again, the only thing that ever really will pull me out of the overthinking when I am looping down that rabbit hole is spiraling down, is to get out of my own head and do something for somebody else.
Yeah.
Because I want to.
Yeah.
Because I'm not forced to.
Right.
So,
Is it going again?
Yeah. I don't know. What else do you have to add?
I mean, I feel like we hit at least high level.
I feel like it went pretty well.
I mean, I think we were a little all over the place.
I apologize. I am unmedicated today, and I have only had like a quarter cup of coffee, so I know I'm all over the map.
This is both of us.
This is real. This is real life with Brooke and Anna.
Yes, accurate.
But I think if you struggle with overthinking, I would encourage you today to just try one thing to get out of yourself. Mm-hmm. One thing. Could be small. Could be taking cookies over to a neighbor just to make just a daily random act of kindness to make someone smile. Like, it doesn't have to be some big devoting your time for like
volunteering.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So just something small. I would encourage you to start there.
Or just texting a friend and being like, hey, just thinking of you, checking in.
You know, yes. And then going to their house and dropping cookies.
Okay, but I feel like...
Yep, it's the leaving. But see, it's the aspect of getting out of your environment and doing something for someone else. Getting out of you.
Well, yeah.
It's easy to go, went back to overthinking. 10 seconds later.
Maybe.
You're going to text me, how are you doing things, and then you're not going to go back to overthinking? That's a lie. A flat out fucking lie.
I don't know.
Happy day. God, I wish I had the best intro song for this episode, and I cannot remember the fucking rhythm. Whatever, I'll think of it and re-record it at some point. But
anyways, if you're still listening to God knows what this turned out to be, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, head over to Facebook and join the Facebook community of my so-called healing community. We'll put the link in the show notes.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, we will.
All right. Have a good day, guys. Sorry we're nutcases. Crazy.
Bye.
Oh, fuck. You're like slamming my